All right. My name is Pradosh Velekar. I am a product director at X-PHY, a cybersecurity company. In my past life, I was an engineer. I am now stepping into the director role, product role. I was with HP before for about last 7 or 8 years. I drove product strategies there with enterprise computers. For today, I want to discuss about cybersecurity with you guys. I don't want to go too technical with it. So I'm going to keep it very high level, and I'd love engagement from you guys. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 concepts here today at a high level. One is cybersecurity. Second is AI. And third is hardware. I want you guys to understand how these 3 things interplay with each other and how we've come up with a solution and built a foundational philosophy on which we can sell this. If only the PowerPoint can support me. Okay, now picture this. You're sitting in a cafe, working on your laptop, and you forget your laptop. Probably hasn't happened to you. It did happen to my wife. She forgot her laptop at the airport. So much so that her company asked her to take a flight from Houston to Chicago to make sure she recovers that laptop. Why do you think that is? Endpoint security. Companies, even though there are securities today where the companies secure their laptops, they cannot trust the laptop in the wrong hands. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Why is Endpoint so important? Endpoint is like your laptop, your mobile phone. And the big question is, if we have antivirus today, if we have firewall protection, if we have network security, if we have encryption, BitLocker, why is it that companies are still getting hacked? Endpoint has changed. What I mean by that, initially you would take your laptops to the company, you would be protected by the network while you're sitting within the 4 walls of your company. But now, things have changed. There is remote work. People are able to carry their laptops in different places. HP had a term for this. It was called One Life. You no longer watch movies on your other laptops. You're watching movies on the laptop that you're working on. Which means that there is a potential threat. A threat that can be capitalized on if your laptop ends up in the wrong hands. If you look at examples, there have been 2,000 devices lost just in the UK government. The number is even more stronger in the US. So you can imagine, forgetting laptop might seem like an innocuous task, but when it finds itself in the wrong hands, especially in the world of AI, your data is no longer safe. All your important stuff, you might be a CEO, you might be a network administrator, all the keys, all the important stuff on your laptop can be easily hacked. And you're no longer protected with antivirus, with firewall, because when you are in the comfort of your home, in your bed, none of those things work because you're outside the perimeter. So what did we decide to do? What if there was a way for us to protect the data itself? Not antivirus, not software, not network layer, data itself. We at X-PHY tried to give this a serious thought and try to ask ourselves, is there a way we can embed AI within the SSD? An intelligence layer that can proactively protect your data, that does not need permission from the antivirus, from the encryption, from the firewall. What if we preempted and stopped the attack from happening? Presenting to you the world's first AI-embedded cybersecurity SSD. To give you a preview about this SSD, feel free to join in, guys. You don't have to stand back. So, going back to the SSD, this SSD has a controller on it that is able to understand the read-write patterns. So that if there is a malicious program that is working on your computer, AI has become smart today, guys. So it's not a big deal for a hacker. I mean, me, without using an ounce of my engineering brain was able to cook up a program. So it's not very difficult for someone to come up with a module that can hack into your memory. So this SSD has the capability of understanding read-write patterns, and I'll get to that in a second. It is very easy for hackers to bypass your software. It's easier for them to bypass the firewalls, because even though the software today has come up with AI security, they're able to understand AI at a human behavioral level. They're not able to understand at the machine language level, which is why it's fairly easy to bypass these AI software or AI firmwares. So how does this work? To put it in simple words, what X-PHY SSD does is it protects you against ransomware. Ransomware attacks are the attacks, in case you guys aren't aware. They are the attacks where hackers use a very small time window, maybe seconds, to encrypt all your data and then ransom you to provide you a decryption key for that. Or ransom your data, keep it with themselves, and you have to pay the price to get your data back. What we've been able to do, let me just turn on the animation there. What we've been able to do, put it in simple words, is we call this a one-door entry-exit. We try to disable every protocol that does a read or a write onto your memory, whether it's SATA, SDI, different ones. We only enable the PCI and NVMe door, and any program that wants to access your data will have to use that door. So the second we disable those operations, it becomes very difficult for a hacker to steal information. What else do we do? If we detect any ransomware attack or a behavior that resembles a ransomware attack, we are able to shut the SSD, lock the SSD, and cut the connection to the OS level so that the ransomware attack won't be able to steal or encrypt your data any further, thereby protecting the data. We also have a software that will allow you to immediately unlock the SSD which your ITDM will have access to. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is it that we don't need software antivirus? Is it that we don't need firewalls? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. We need to look at cybersecurity holistically. What do I mean by holistically? Your security stance is as weak as the weakest link in your chain. Software is a part of it. Hardware is a part of it. Network is a part of it. All the 7 layers. We are trying to avoid the blind spots that the software solutions or any solutions that operate above the physical layer have loopholes in. So we are not here to replace the traditional cybersecurity. We are acting as the last line of defense when all else fails above the physical layer. A quick graphic. I know it's far for you guys. You might not be able to see this. What this basically means is cybersecurity threats are on the rise. If you look at the graph on your left-hand side, it gives you a breakdown of malicious and non-malicious attacks. And you see that the malicious attack percentage has gone up in the last decade or so. And on the right-hand side, we're talking about the money that is being spent on cybersecurity. You can see that there's a steep increase in 2020, 2021, and going with conservative estimates, we can only see it going upwards. We are looking at a value of $13 trillion. $13 trillion, guys. If you guys attended my colleague's session, Jamie, he was talking about community root of trust. This is another philosophy that X-PHY is going by. Community root of trust means your device has a digital fingerprint. What I mean by that is, let's say if somebody is able to steal my credentials. He goes home, he tries to log in. Because his device is not registered in the network, he won't be allowed access into that. So we are combining your digital identity, not just through your role, not just your identity access, but also tying your device together with it. So only when I have the right credentials and the right device will I be able to log in. and that record will be maintained in a trust registry that only some people have access to. The second my device is stolen, we remove that device from the registry. So no matter if anybody has my credentials or not, they won't be able to get it. This is what we mean by community root of trust. This is not just X-PHY acting on it. We also want to make sure that we try to promote this idea, the concept, the philosophy, so that more people, more companies come on board. We are not here to create a further divide with the already existing divide in the industry. We want to make sure we unite them. Thank you.